all know, the inaugural celebration of National Technology Day took place on May 11th, 1999. Since then, this significant occasion has been commemorated each year under the esteemed leadership of the Technology Development Board, TDB, functioning under the aegis of Ministry of Science and Technology as a tribute to India's remarkable strides in technological innovation and scientific advancement. The theme for this year's National Technology Day is Yantra, Yugantar for advancing new technology, research, and acceleration. Ladies and gentlemen, we begin the proceedings for the day with a panel discussion by eminent speakers from the industry on the topic, the future of tech commercialization in India. After that, we will be joined by our chief guest, Dr. Jitendra Singh, the Honorable Minister, and our guest of honor, who's already here with us, Padma Bhushan, Dr. Ajay Chaudhary ji, for the celebration of National Technology Day 2025. The keynote addresses then will be followed by the release of compendium on Super 30 technologies funded by TDB and the product launches. So let us begin the celebrations with Indian Technology Investment and Commercialization Meet 2025. The theme of the session is the future of tech commercialization in India. This session will be chaired by Dr. Debashish Bhattacharjee, who is an accomplished professional with 4 decades of strong track record in advanced materials and steel. He is a board member of the Technology Development Board and is a fellow of the Royal Academy of Engineering, currently running a venture capital fund. Please join me in welcoming him on the dais. बहुत-बहुत अभिनंदन, जोरदार तालियों के साथ स्वागत. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us here today. And with this, I also invite our other eminent speakers to please join the stage, beginning with inviting Shri Vikram Gupta, founder Ivy Cap Ventures. Zordar taliyon ke saath swagat. Shri Vikram Gupta, founder Ivy Cap Ventures. I invite Shri Sajid Pai, partner Bloom Ventures. A big round of applause as we welcome Shri Sajid Pai on the dais. A very warm welcome to you. Inviting Dr. Jitendra Kumar, Managing Director, Biotech, to please join us on the stage. और सभी के लिए जोरदार तालियां. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Inviting Shri Abhishek Gulati, Trade Commissioner, Embassy of Canada, to please join us on the stage. A very warm welcome to you, sir. A big round of applause. Inviting Ms. Patricia Sanchez, Representative, Center for Technology Development and Innovation, Spain, to please join us. A big round of applause for Ms. Patricia. And inviting Ms. Jeannie George Shaju, Senior Advisor, Office of Science and Innovation, Embassy of Sweden, on the stage. A big round of applause for all our eminent speakers joining us on the dais. A very warm welcome to our eminent speakers who have joined us here today. Once again, a very warm welcome to one and all. Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin the proceedings, may I please request the chair to kindly please begin the proceedings of the session from here. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. It's always a difficult task to break ice as the first event of the day. But thank you, TDB, for arranging this discussion session, which is I think sets the tone for the day, and also as a markstone for the nation to remind itself about Viksit Bharat. It is about indigenization, it is about innovation, it is about commercialization of ideas. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very eminent panel comprising biotechnology, comprising startups, venture capitals, comprising our friends from across the world, and talking about their approach to innovation. TDB has been at the forefront of innovation and fostering innovation in the country. Way back in 1996, when it was formed, its statutes mentioned investment in companies through equity. It was set up to act like a venture capital fund in 1996, when I think most of us didn't know about venture capital funds. Such was the vision. In the following years, TDB has been fulfilling its role. Its role is threefold, essentially, to look at commercialization of new ideas. It could be from industry, it could be from startups, it could be from anywhere, as long as it is commercialization. It is about commercialization of indigenous ideas. It is also about commercialization of knowledge, technology that comes from abroad and is distributed to a larger market within India. And it does it through three means. It does it through, as I mentioned before, through equity. It does it through a very friendly loan system, and of course through very specific grants. But again, it is aimed at industry. Over the years, as a measure of its impact and success, you can imagine the impact it would have had, it has had, if I mention just some of the names, but I will not mention names here. I will just mention some figures. It has done more than 400 agreements, but that's not enough. It has invested about 2,500 crores of rupees, which led to follow-on investment of about 12,000 crore rupees. The resultant employment runs into 50,000 direct and indirect employments. I can go on, but it's not just for TDB, it's also for you to listen to what the broader perspective is. So again, I thank TDB for organizing this, and I thank my panel members for spending time and sparing their time and ready to be sharing their views at this occasion. Let me start with BIRAC, Dr. Jitendra Kumar. BIRAC is set up for biotech and associated fields. Can you please enlighten the audience about what are the main challenges, keeping Viksit Bharat in mind, what enablers should we need in our country to hasten the process of commercialization of new ideas and going towards self-sufficiency?
Okay. Thank you. Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council, as you know, BIRAC, is a public sector undertaking, Section 8 company of Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. In the last 10 years of its existence, more than 12 years, actually 10 years, 12 years, it has made a huge mark in the innovation ecosystem of the country as far as biotechnology is concerned. For instance, if we talk about 2014, we had some 300, 400 biotech startups in the country. Now the number stands at 10,000 biotech startups in the country, which is a huge exponential growth and phase. The bioeconomy of the country stood at around some 10 billion US dollars. Now it is 165 billion US dollars. Again, a huge jump. So biotechnology is growing very, very fast. And these are some indicators, but there are other indicators also which shows that the biotechnology growth has been tremendous in the country. Now, what has been the catalytic role of BIRAC in achieving this is very, very important to know. So we create programs in the country where each value chain of biotech innovation is mapped. And there's a gap, we provide the solutions, the funding solution, networking, branding, stakeholders meet, whatever is required for filling that gap, we do that. For instance, if funding is concerned, we start our funding from ideation phase, biotech ignition grant, the flagship grant, many of you might be knowing, 50 lakhs grant, and then we have SIBRI, BIPP, product commercialization, grant. We also have a ACE fund, the alternate fund or a fund of funds, where we have impaneled some 16 venture capitalists, and they invest on our behalf to these biotech companies. So right from ideation to commercialization, we have covered all these steps. It's a one-stop gap solution for biotech innovations in the country. A person comes with an idea, he doesn't have even a company, and then we start funding. We have around 100 BioNest centers in the country which we have funded, and they are doing extremely and 100 BioNest centers. So somebody comes with an idea, we plug them into the incubation center, we fund through our Biotech Ignition grant, and then follow-up grant, and that's how the innovation moves. We have around 800 products that's in the market now after the biotechnology innovation, the BIRAC, activity kicked in. So what are the next steps and challenges, as you asked? This was just an introduction I gave so that you get a perspective. See, most of the innovations right now are at the proof of concept, and they have done their proof of concept in the incubation centers, in the labs that we provide. However, for scale up, there is an issue. Scaling up of these innovations, which requires clean rooms, it requires CGMP facility, it requires high capacity fermenters, and so those are issues. So one of the solutions that we have envisaged for this is to provide scale-up facilities in the incubation center. That is obvious. So we are funding the next level of incubation centers. However, the most important thing which came recently is BioE3 policy of the Department of Biotechnology. Under this BioE3 policy, we are creating biofoundries and biomanufacturing hubs where the scale-up is possible for these startups who are looking for scale-up. Because see, scale-up, they don't have the infrastructure for scale-up. So unless there is some assistance provided by government, I think it will not happen. And most of the innovations will remain at that stage. Now, this is one infrastructure scale-up, but then there is a scale-up problem from the investment side also. So we have a Biotech Ignition grant, which has some money, BIPP, SIBRI and all, but early stage venture funding for scale-up of the innovations is again a major issue. So we have some venture capitalists who are into this, but still I would say that early stage venture funding is definitely a gap in India. And what happens is many of these companies, they go abroad for getting such funds and they flip over. And it's not a good thing for our country where we have invested at the most risky stage when nobody was there. And then they flip over to other countries. I mean, this is a major issue. So definitely this has to be seen. Scale up, and then regulatory challenges, another problem in our country. Regulatory, especially biotech side requires a lot of regulatory clarity. So regulatory framework in our country for many emerging technologies, it's very obvious. I mean, it's not that other countries have the great regulatory thing, and our country does not have. It's just the nature of things that when we talk about emerging technologies, the regulatory framework is not clear, obviously, because nobody has worked on it. So what we have done in BIRAC is we have created a regulatory affairs and policy advocacy division, which creates, formulates some kind of regulatory guidelines or some kind of notes, policy notes, etc., and give to CDSCO and other regulators so that they have some idea, and we hold a lot of stakeholders meeting. We handhold these startups to navigate the complex challenges of regulation and all. So these are some of the challenges. I would say that only 3 emerging areas, you talked about emerging areas also. So one is biotechnology, definitely, which we all know. So, second is the climate change and the interface between many of these technologies, AI and data science. I think these 3 emerging areas we have to focus, and we should not we should not miss the bus. Because other countries are actually progressing in these areas at a much faster pace. And, the organizations like BIRAC definitely has a lot of focus on these areas. We call a lot of, innovation challenges around this and all that. So we fund these areas. We also work with, I'll just say this and stop my conversation later, I'll talk about more on this if the time permits. But deep tech innovations definitely is something that we have to focus on, and it has been discussed at many forums. When I say deep tech, it means IP-led deep tech innovations. And most of the R&D institutions in our country have deep tech research and R&D, but they're not going to commercialization. And BIRAC actually focuses on, realizes this gap, and what we do is we work with innovators and scientists, technologies who are developing these products or working on this deep tech, and give some small grants for commercialization. So we call it PACE grant. PACE is some, given to the academic institutions where they're interested to commercialize. We hope that by doing this, we will be able to work on or generate the pipeline of deep tech entrepreneurs in the country. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I think you have used some terms which will be of great relevance for the day and also for the next speaker. You've said deep tech. You've also mentioned about, or alluded to capital not being so easily available to deep tech, etc. So let me come to Mr. Vikram Gupta, founder of Ivy Caps. You are familiar with IP-led deep tech or heavy industry investment. And we find that this is an area where you need patient capital. Patient capital is not easily available. What do we do? What's your experience? How should we enable and encourage funding in deep tech, and that as a nation we can take forward? Because without this, we don't really have self-sufficiency. Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much for having me here as part of this panel, such an illustrious set of people. I think, and it's what you mentioned earlier, Debashiji, about TDB starting in '96 with the equity mindset. I think that itself talks a lot about the objectives that we're trying to achieve. And we've been there trying to do this for a while. And I'll just take a minute, first of all, just to talk about what Ivy Cap does. We are today managing about 5,000 crores, domestic capital. We have 26 Indian institutions as our investors. These include the likes of the largest banks of the country, insurance companies. We are so fortunate to have support of TDB right from a Fund 1 and across our funds. We are currently investing from a Fund 3, which is 2,100 crores, which is by far the largest domestic venture capital fund in the country today. We have a portfolio of about 55 companies. We invest between 1 crore to 50 crores as the first check, and then we follow on as well. We do invest heavily into deep tech. We have actually invest across 3 different verticals. We have one side we invest in India consumer and growth story. On the other side, we have India for the world. And that's where what Jitendraji has mentioned is very important in terms of what we were also seeing, the flipping of the companies happening from India to outside. And actually now we're doing the reverse flipping. We're actually making sure that the Indian founders who are abroad, who actually listed their companies or started their companies abroad, they're actually now coming back to India. And the third vertical is basically deep tech and emerging tech. There we are investing across different areas, including semiconductors, space tech, and of course there are other areas like AI, ML, and blockchain and IoT and others. So I'll tell you one of the fundamental things that we did when we started Ivy Cap. We realized that there are 2 fundamental things that need to be addressed. One is the funding, and there's a huge funding gap, especially when it comes to very early stage. And the second is mentorship, guidance, and talent. So in order to solve this problem together, what we decided to do, we said that whatever profit we will make as fund, which is called carried interest, we will give a substantial part of that back to the ecosystem to seed endowments of the country. So 2011, we created this concept when we started Ivy Cap. We said 25% of our carry we will give back as endowments. And of course, I come from IIT Delhi, and three of my other co-founders come from IIT Delhi. So naturally, IIT Delhi became our first, kind of a target to set up an endowment fund. So we were successful in setting up India's first endowment fund at IIT Delhi, which was launched by the Honorable President at Rashtrapati Bhavan, 2019 October. And post that, there was a series of endowments that were created in India, where I'm personally supporting, helping create those endowments. And what this endowment fund does, basically, and these endowments are building in size, across our three funds itself, we are basically giving back 200 crores of just the endowment capital to help build these endowments. And now we are even talking to the likes of the corporates like Infosys and various others that we work with who want to add to this endowment, to multiply this to another 5x, which is 1,000 crores, which is actually going back to all these endowments to help fund research, innovation, and entrepreneurship at the grassroots level, whether they are the IITs or the IIMs or the Indian Institute of Science or various other educational institutions, their incubation centers, their accelerators. And that capital, we've already given 20 crores back, starting with the first fund carry, and the other capital is going back. And we believe that this capital is what is going to be focused on supporting these early stage innovations, which are otherwise very difficult, in terms of looking for that high risk capital at that stage. So I think, but challenge that we see is not just capital, because capital now we are seeing is available in plenty. So we see a lot of government pockets getting created, a lot of angel networks have come up. So people are willing to take that risk now. The challenge really is in actually giving the right mentorship, right coaching at that stage, right support system. And that's where, when we started IVCAP, we reached out to about 75,000 IIT alumni in the first year itself. And basic message to them was that, hey, we are setting up this fund with the objective to really give back to the ecosystem. If you are from a particular IIT, you may want to give back to that IIT through our fund, or even directly we can facilitate that. And we got 25,000 responses in the first year itself. There are 500,000 alumni today. And everybody now talks about endowment. And these pockets are now getting created. And these people have now been structured into a mentoring platform, mentor program, which we actually structured as a very systematic thing, where these people actually work and give one day of their month as a structured mentoring program. And also, whether it's our portfolio companies or other startups, they're very happy to come and work with these founders, which we believe is very, very important because, at that stage, we know that, either these are scientists who are very good at their ideas, but they don't know the commercial side much. They need the commercial side. Or there are entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs who haven't yet seen the failure side and don't understand what not to do, because they know what to do, but they don't know what not to do. So for that, if you can bring together this entire ecosystem, and now we get IITs, IIMs, BITS, ISB, and Indian Institute of Science all together through the same platform, bringing the successful entrepreneurs and the scientists on the same platform, basically helping these innovations and startups, along with the capital that we give through these endowments, which actually is helping us in terms of building, towards this Viksit Bharat, what we believe is the key driver for this growth. So that is where we are quite excited about this, and we're looking to now take it from here with a lot of passion and excitement, and we are very blessed to have the kind of support system with distinguished alumni of IITs and IIMs on the board, with the various institutions like TDB and State Bank of India and LIC kind of institutions who are also supporting us on our board. So I think we're looking forward to really building this from here.
Thank you, Vikramji. You've highlighted a very important aspect, which is often not fully appreciated, I guess, which is mentorship. Lifelong development of expertise and experience has a role to play in guiding the young ecosystem of innovation. Thank you. We'll come back to you if time permits. Yes. Mr. Pai, Mr. Sajid Pai from Bloom, we have heard about deep tech, we have heard about biotech. Can you highlight your experience in, say, AI/ML and the carbon capture and decarbonization side, environment side, and what has been your experience, and again, what is your message for all of us?
Thank you for having me here. It's an exciting Sunday morning for me. So, but yeah, really enjoying talking to all of you. So we're a fund, we're an early stage fund called Bloom Ventures, based out of Bangalore and Bombay. And I would say that we're very similar in size to Vikram's fund. In fact, we have a very important portfolio company in common, our most successful company, an IIT Delhi alumni, right? Like, yeah. So, but I want to talk a little bit about deep tech, because that's what I'm asked to speak about. So we're a small fund very early on, even smaller than this. Naturally, when you start, right, you start with a very small corpus. So we used to invest very, very early on in student entrepreneurs, etc. And that relates to a point Dr. Jitendra Kumar mentioned about funding, because the first two entrepreneurs in the deep tech space we invested in were student entrepreneurs. This was a team out of BITS called Grey Orange. They used to make robots. And after our investment, it became very hard for us to support. We're a small fund. There was a challenge in getting funds, and they're now based in Atlanta and Singapore, right? Second was a company in the carbon capture space, IIT Kharagpur team. Really struggled for funds, commercialization. They were still able to get some money. But the big money happened when they got grants from the UK government and they relocated to UK. But after these two stories, right, of these student entrepreneurs, and this happened in the early part of the last decade, I'm very proud to say that all the other deep tech investments after that, the founders are still here. Because in the last 5, 6, 7 years, especially in the last post-COVID, there's a very flourishing venture industry and there's a lot of interest in deep tech. So when I look at, for example, Pixel in space, right? Whether it is Ati Motors, Robo, Tartan Sense, Agri Robotics, imagine that, Ethereal, Optimized. They're all in India today and the founders are able to build and access funds. So this is something I think that we should all be proud about, that no longer do our founders today, barring in some exceptional cases, as he says, may have to go. I think AI/ML is one particular thing where, because so much of the tech is in the Bay Area, so much of cutting edge stuff in the Bay Area, I think it's going to be very hard to build something, Sarvam is trying, unless it's got a local angle to it today. So that apart, I want to talk about two important points here. Spoken about how our founders today don't need to go necessarily abroad. They can stay and build, and there's a lot of money available in India. That's something we should be proud about. The two areas that I want to speak about in addition have to do with, I would say, commercialization. And when we look at, for example, the patents, and patents are increasing, right? There's been a 25% increase year on year in patents. But when we look at, for example, how many of those patents get commercialized, just 1/5 get commercialized. And for that, I think when we speak to the founders, I think challenge is getting infrastructure that is fragmented. And I think we all need to come together as academia, government, industry, to create possibly test beds, create possibly sandboxes where they can easily experiment. And I think that is one fundamental challenge that we're seeing, that it's very hard for early stage founders to get inexpensive facilities and sandboxes to experiment and commercialize patents. The other part is to do with, I would say, commercialization is to do with procurement. And a lot of the deep tech startups today need to work with the government. And I think some of the feedback that's come from them is that a lot of, especially in defense, a lot of the requests are for, like, for example, I mean, I won't get too specific, but I would say today you need to invest in drones, not tanks, right? Like, tanks are yesterday, drones are tomorrow. And if you've seen, for example, what happened, Turkey's strength, we need to create a Bayraktar of India. So we need to go where the puck is skating to, right? So procurement matters. Speed matters too. Today startups, we give them money for 18 to 24 months. But if commercialization, procurement alone takes a year, year and a half, then it's very hard to kind of prove. So I think these are some factors that I see. I don't want to kind of take too much time because I know you have to cover more guests too. But just to highlight, it's great to have Indian startups today building in India. There is money and there's a market. Two, we need to make sure that they commercialize much more than before, okay? And all the lovely patents that are getting created, we need to commercialize them. Three, we need to procure faster, better, and the future, okay? So that's sort of my point.
Thank you, Mr. Pai. Let me change the direction of my neck to the left, saving me the crink, and come to our colleagues who will bring views from abroad. Right? You've heard the Indian story, right? So I'll come to you first, Abhishek. In this connected world, nothing happens without collaboration. I mean, very little happens without collaboration. We heard about procurement, we heard about supply chain. So it is very important for us to understand, appreciate how others think, who will be part of the value chain in some form or the other. So could you highlight to the audience as to what is since you're from the High Commission of Canada, first of all, thank you for being here on a Sunday morning. What is Canada's view on innovation, on encouraging new technology? And where are the areas in which Canada, India can work together? And I think this will be a same question for both of you. So, yeah. First, you don't have?
Namaste and good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to represent my country, Canada, which is deeply committed to fostering innovation, global partnerships, and smart solutions. I'll try to give a perspective about how tech has been commercialized in Canada. Canada follows a government-led, industry-driven approach to help Canadian startups, help Canadian SMEs, wherein these ideas, they just do not stay in the lab, but also reaches the market and are solutions which could be provided to the global world. We have programs like Innovative Solutions Canada, NRC IRAP. We have special super innovation clusters, wherein we provide an entire gamut, or we probably try to integrate a whole ecosystem of helping them with funds, mentorship, any regulatory support that they would need, so that it builds a commercialization pipeline. We have innovation ecosystems in cities like Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, that enables startups and SMEs to co-develop and also pilot and scale globally. I would say that what makes Canada's model for tech commercialization unique is a structured and a predictable innovation support ecosystem, which ensures that these ideas move from labs to creating a long-lasting impact. If I would also want to talk about how Canada sees India as an innovation partner. We just do not want to look after trade between India and Canada, but as a strategic co-development ally. That's what we look India as. India's market scale, the entrepreneurial energy that India has, the engineering talent, they are highly complementary to Canada's deep tech research, the IP strength, and the risk capital that we have. So I would like to say that our goal is not just to export innovation, but also we want to build it together on a trust-based partnership model. There are a few sectors that I have been particularly working around. I typically look at inward investments from Canada to India. So there are a few sectors that we have been focusing on. For example, we've been talking about deep tech. I think quantum is one of the sectors or sub-sectors within deep tech which has a lot of potential. And again, both the countries have national quantum strategies around it. I think it was in 2023 wherein India allocated somewhere around 8,000 crores to build their quantum strategy, build quantum solutions, things around AI. Advanced manufacturing is another area. I think the kind of capabilities Canada has in robotics, additive manufacturing, smart materials, they all align with India's Make in India initiative and PLI schemes that the Indian government has. Another area where I feel there's a lot of collaboration opportunity for India and Canada would be healthcare and life sciences. Now we all know that we are now moving to health tech solutions, smart solutions, e-care. So I think these are the few areas where India and Canada can collaborate. Also, I think India is one of the 6 countries that Canada has a partnership with. It is called India-Canada Industrial R&D Program, wherein both the governments have pledged to support SMEs up to $600,000 from each side, accounting to $1.2 million. So, any Indian, Canadian SME startup wanting to co-develop, co-create a solution that is applicable for the world, not just India and Canada, both the countries are willing to come together, fund, support. In the end, I would just like to mention that we are here to not just export innovation, but co-develop innovation with India, which should be made in India, made in Canada, but made for the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek, for your views. I think you also interact closely with not only the innovation ecosystem and the government, but also with industry, which helps in upscaling innovation quickly. We'll come to a separate question on that, but before that, can we have the view from Ms. Sanchez on how does Spain carry out its innovation and what does it look forward in the Indo-Spanish interaction?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that I'm very glad to be here because TDB is actually one of our main partners for the technological collaboration of Spanish companies. So thank you very much for your invitation. I would like to share with you 2 instruments that we have at the government of Spain and that are implemented by my organization, which is CDTI, the Center for Technological Development and Innovation. The first one is an instrument that is called Neotech. Neotech is a seed capital instrument for the creation and consolidation of deep tech enterprises in Spain. What we do is we allocate a grant based on an analysis of the business strategy of the company and also the potential of that company to generate a disruptive technology in the future. The total budget of this program is 20 million euros, of which 5 million euros are reserved for companies that are led by women. It's a very competitive process. We receive more than 500 applications per year, and less than 20% are successful. The grant that we provide is up to 75% of the project. And the second instrument is called Invierte. Invierte is a venture capital instrument of the government of Spain that we use to invest in Spanish technological companies that we believe have the potential to become leaders in their own sectors. We have 2 models to invest in these kind of companies. The first one is CDTA participates as an investor in venture capital entities that are already regulated by our National Commission for the Regulation of the Securities Market. And the second model is CDTI signed co-investment agreements with corporate investors, foreign corporate investors that are interested in investing in Spanish technological companies. These are the 2 main instruments that we have to facilitate that new technologies from Spain can make it into the market.
Thank you. And the view from Sweden, please.
Thank you. Before I start, thank you. Show of hands from anyone who's been part of the Swedish ecosystem, either as an alumni or a startup. A show of hands. Whoa. A show of hands of anybody who's actually worn a seat belt. I'm sure all hands will go up. That's innovation for you from Sweden, which is not even patented. It's there for everyone, right? On that note, there's a lot of pressure of being the last one, or semi, when everything has been spoken. But a few things. Let's start with what do we have with India. This year marks 20 years of our science and technology cooperation with India. And ahead of that, there's been over 75 years of diplomatic relationship that has sort of helped all other aspects of relationship. There are lots of faces here, friends and mentors, and who've sort of chugged along in this journey, and we're working on joint partnerships. Several of them have just come back from what we call the Lead It, that works on the cement and the steel setup, decarbonizing those sectors through public-private partnerships. So there's lots of ingredients to make things work. What does Sweden has that sort of answers some of the questions that have been discussed and the responses to it? At the heart of it, it has to be the multiple helix model, where the government, the industry, the civil societies, and the academia comes together. Sweden's trade strategy that was announced 2 years ago for the next 7 years, of the 3 objectives that it has, one of them is actually to increase innovation. So they don't see trade, innovation, science as in compartmentalized boxes. In about 2 weeks' time, Sweden will table its biggest ever research and innovation bill in the parliament. This is about 6.5 billion SEK, or that's about 57 crores. So there's a lot of money that goes in. And then there were a lot of, I was quite intrigued by particularly Dr. Nagpal, where he said, we have everything, and there's no doubt that we have all the ingredients that we need, very much in this room. So what happens when it comes to commercialization? And I can give an example what happens in Sweden. Some of you may know, and that's why I asked who's been part of the ecosystem. In Sweden, we have something called a professor's privilege or teacher's exemption. So it's the right to invent. And the IP is not with the university. Yes, debatable, but for now it is not with the university. And like colleagues said here, researchers in their own vision, who are so passionate about finding solutions, sometimes don't have the support, the framework, the competence to sell their product, to utilize their research, and that's where the gap is. So let's catch them there. And in Sweden, what we have is innovation offices, to give them that stimuli, that support, to take their research through utilization, to give them that business leap. In addition to that, and these innovation offices are across 10 or 12 Swedish universities. They're located in these universities, but their access is for the entire landscape. And the other interesting bit is what we call the university holding company. So it's a consortia, again, based out of university. The universities have right over it, and that they also sort of give that early financing to these ideas. So those are some of the ingredients, and there's one more in particular. Some of you might know the Swedish Academy of Engineering Sciences, EVA, and what they do is, in partnership with the Swedish intellectual property, they every year bring out a top 100 list of collaborative projects across the landscape of higher education on topical themes. And then they have their annual summit. And that's where they open it up to those who want to collaborate, holding their hand through the process. So I think we also have some of those here. And through these discussions and sharing of ideas, and maybe around the coffee or over lunch, we can leap into something further.
Thank you. I'll close up with a final round of question, which is a common question. You asked us to. I'll keep the question a surprise. You asked who has connections with Sweden, and what I'm going to say is linked to the question. I was in Luleå. Luleå, ladies and gentlemen, in January, February, they have snow about double man height. Yeah, and surprisingly, still flights land every day, and they have a pilot blast furnace, and this is from the steel making area. This is a hot oven which is big, and they run it when outside there is 2 man height of snow. And this is run, and this is it is only the second pilot blast furnace in the world. And they run it 365 days a year, testing new ideas that are coming from the Swedish universities and some of the European universities, and with industry, because there is an iron maker, a strong iron maker, and because this happens in close proximity and regularly and with strong collaboration, we see a lot of decarbonization technologies being commercialized in Sweden and Scandinavia very, very quickly, very rapidly compared to the rest of the world. So my question is a follow-on, which is innovation. Ecosystem is not only about the startup phase. It is about taking the startup phase to commercialization at scale, and there I think large industry has a huge role to play, either in fostering it or in taking it up or whichever, or creating a market for it. And I'm sure my colleagues in the audience also will be interested to know what your views are. You know, I'll just go stereophonically on the other end and say you mentioned about a company which was born in IIT Kharagpur and was funded by UK. You know, one of the big steel industry in India gave them the first Indian foothold.
Yeah.
I won't mention either the industry or that company. But it was necessary for that startup to get the next phase of upscale because through an industry. This is a big sort of valley of death.
Yeah.
So if you can spend a couple of minutes each on how each of us is trying to bridge this valley of death.
Yeah. So I'll try and keep it short. I would say, look, you can have all the patents, all the research that you do. Finally, it like a seat belt, right? It has to solve a human problem or a commercial problem, right? It's when you solve that commercial problem well that you have the right to then expand, and you have the right to ask for more capital. And I would say that at our stage, one of the things we've started doing is when a startup comes into our evaluation process, now what's happened is, and there are different TRL stages, right? Technology readiness TRL stages. So I think it's reached the point where we are very keen to know if there is a strong if there is customer love, is there a strong what we call product to problem fit? And the stronger the product to problem fit, the more likely it is that we'll be able to look at even funding them. So I think so we no longer look at the idea stage. It has to go beyond idea. We ask hard questions of the founder. Who is going to buy it? Have you spoken to them? Do you have design partners? And those are the ways in which we can de-risk it. If a founder has not even thought about who could be customers, who could, for example, use it, have you spoken to them? Do you have a pilot going on with them? If they don't have this, it'll be very tough for us to fund. And that's how we drive this desire to commercialize.
So actually, you touched upon a very important point, and we are actually seeing various large corporates these days, whether they are Indian or global, and global corporates coming to India, wanting to work with startups actually, and trying to work on various new innovative ideas. Even Indian corporates like HDFC, for example, works with IVCAP actually, to identify startups which can help them use the data, because they have a lot of data. Their HDFC Life Insurance, for example, want to use this data to create various AI models to actually help do better customer service and create forward-looking products. And we've supported them in terms of shortlisting some 200 plus startups and finally identifying 3 or 4 startups to work with them. Same thing with companies like Hitachi Payments, Sonata Software, Boeing, Lowe's, which is a home improvement. All these large corporates have come to India, basically wanting to work with Indian startups. And that's where we are actually working with these corporates to identify these innovative areas that can support their innovation objectives. And I think something which we believe is actually really the next wave of things which are happening in the corporate world.
So, in my talk, previous question, I had alluded about scaling up. And scaling up had several challenges. And this is what you just now said, that, what is that big companies can do to these startups. And we have seen in Biotech, there are a couple of examples, not many of them, where bigger companies have come to these startups and they have forged collaborations. The biotech field is itself like this, that you have somebody has to scale up and financial muscles, etc. required. So what happens is many of these startups, they collaborate with the bigger companies to do certain things, and the value chain proceeds. Therefore, we see a couple of examples like this. And Biotech has created a platform where bigger companies can interact with the startup companies, and I think in future we will see more and more of this. The second point I wanted to tell in these lines, in this aspect, is there are many corporates who have already created some kind of a startup incubator. Microsoft, I know, but then Biocon also has an incubation center. So the idea is that they want to see that these startups have certain kind of a new technologies or innovation which can be later acquired by the company. However, I have seen some challenges where startups are not able to actually, they don't confide in, and the secrecy and confidentiality is an issue. But I think that those can be managed. The third thing is the corporate venture capital, I think will slowly come into picture, where a lot of these corporates will have a small or big venture capitalist, and they will invest in large, small startup companies and see that their pipeline can be grown. So all these aspects definitely are being taken care of. And Biotech, and as colleagues said about this, many multinationals coming to India and looking for startup. This is definitely, we are seeing they are contacting Biotech that how can we collaborate, and you can lay open our resources and everything to the startup companies and all that. So we have to be a little careful about this, but however, I think this is an opportunity. If properly set into context, I think this can lead to a lot of good innovations.
Thank you. I think I've been giving strong signals for time is up. So if you have just few words to.
Trying to pay attention to the question. I was not a good student, Dr. Debashish, sorry. But just to quickly think, somebody there touched upon data. And I think we sort of ignore that aspect quite often. And the other point is, it's okay to set ourselves for failure sometimes. Somebody also said what we know, but what we don't know. And when I spoke about the teacher's exemption or the professor's privilege, the idea is to build in an entrepreneurial attitude, which means you are bound to fail at some point. So it's okay to even sort of go with that aptitude and attitude. And the other thing I want to touch upon is, in Sweden we have something called, which is a new initiative, which is called Sweden Startup Nation. And it is to address the unique needs of startups, but with the focus on data and knowledge. And that is key, I think.
I would like to take this time to also give you some information about the collaboration, the framework collaboration in research, technological development and innovation that we have, Spain has with India. Because CDTI, my organization, signed an agreement with DST, the Department of Science and Technology, that is implemented by TDB. Under this program, we have launched a total of 11 calls. These are requests for proposals. We receive proposals of projects, then we evaluate those projects, and we decide if we are going to co-fund those projects. This program have three characteristics. The first one is a program for industrial R&D, so the project must be led by companies in Spain and in India, but then the collaboration with other R&D entities, such as universities or research centers, is permitted. The second characteristic is that this is a call to fund projects in any sector, so you can present our proposal in any sector with only one exception, defense. And the third one is that DST and CDTI, they are co-funding this call. DST will provide funding to the Indian participant, and my organization will provide funding to the Spanish participant. The funding that is provided by DST is a grant up to 5% of the cost of the R&D works. Right now, there is a call open, it's the call number 11, but it's about to close because it will be closing at the end of this month. I know that the deadline is very tight, but I would like to let you know that we will be opening a new call at the end of this year, and this call will be open until May or June 2026. So I would like to invite you to participate in this call if you want to collaborate in research, technological development, and innovation with Spain.
As I mentioned initially, Canada follows a government-led and industry-driven approach. So all these startups, innovations that are happening at our innovation clusters, they're supported by the government, but again, they are being run by the industry. So we have, partnerships with major, big, large corporates, which are a part of all these innovation clusters that help startups not just with mentoring or just providing funds, but also giving them exposure of working on real-time challenges. In addition to that, the government of Canada also has a lot of startup programs wherein we bring in startups to different countries. And India is one of the countries wherein we invite a lot of Canadian startups to come experience what the real world problems are, how they can co-innovate, and that's what the model we follow.
Thank you. I must thank the panelists, and I thank the audience for your keen attendance and attention. Hopefully you got enriched. I got enriched. So thank you. With a round of applause, let's...
Absolutely. Jnanam Vigyan Sahitam, meaning knowledge along with practical application is true wisdom. This is inspired by the Bhagavad Gita, which differentiates between Gyan, which is the theoretical knowledge, and Vigyan, experiential or applied knowledge. As we have heard today, with the right mix of innovation, policy, support, and entrepreneurial spirit, India is not just adapting to the future of tech commercialization, it's shaping it for the world. Ladies and gentlemen, as we thank each of our speakers for this session, may I please invite Shri Kapil Kumar Tripathi, Scientist F TDB, to kindly present tokens of gratitude to each of our presenters, speakers for the session. Thank you very much. And we would like to begin with the chair for the session, Dr. Bhattacharjee. Thank you very much for conducting this panel discussion really well. And thank you for sharing your perspectives with all of us today. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Dr. Bhattacharjee. Shri Vikram Gupta, thank you very much for joining us here on this panel and for sharing your thoughts with all of us. बहुत बहुत आभार, अपने विचार हम सभी के साथ आपने साझा किए. So thank you, Dr. Jitendra Kumar. जी, Shri Vikram Gupta, founder Ivy Caps. सभी का आभार, श्री सजीत भाई. श्री अभिषेक गुलाटी, मिस पेट्रीसिया, तो आप जिस भी ऑर्डर में देना चाहें. सभी के लिए जोरदार तालियां. Thank you very much, Shri Abhishek Gulati, for joining us here in this panel. Thank you, Patricia, for joining us and sharing your thoughts with all of us today. Thank you, Ms. Jeannie George, for sharing those wonderful perspectives, all of us. With this, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a big round of applause for the wonderful panel. And now we will have a group picture before we actually take our places amongst the audience members. I have been apprised that our chief guest is already in the premises and will be here shortly. So waiting for our chief guest, Dr. Jitendra Singh, to join us in this auditorium. He's already there in the premises and will be here in a few seconds. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a blood camp that has been organized in the foyer area. So the ones who are interested, the attendees who are interested to donate blood are requested to kindly go one by one so we can make use of this wonderful opportunity and do something well for the society as well. Quickly setting up the stage for the next session, wherein we have Dr. Jitendra Singh, the Honorable Union Minister of State, Independent Charge for Science and Technology, Earth Sciences, and Minister of State for PMO, Department of Atomic Energy, Department of Space, Personnel, Public Grievances, and Pensions, will be joining us any moment now. We are waiting for the Honorable Minister to join us, and as soon as he arrives, we would be beginning with the proceedings for this session. We request everyone to kindly remain seated, please, and We're just waiting for our chief guest to arrive, and I've been told he will be here any moment, requesting everyone to kindly remain seated, please. As we know that 10 startups have placed their products outside, and the Honorable Minister is interacting with them, and he will interact and then join us here in the auditorium. The startups के जो बाहर डिस्प्लेज हैं, उनसे इंटरैक्शन करने के बाद माननीय मंत्री जी हमारे बीच पहुंचेंगे। तो सभी से डिस्कस करते हुए, उनसे वार्तालाप करते हुए, उनके प्रोडक्ट्स को समझते हुए, उस इंटरैक्शन के पश्चात वो यहाँ इस ऑडिटोरियम में सभागार में प्रवेश करेंगे।
कौन कहता है कि सपने सच नहीं होते? अगर सपने सच ना होते तो रामेश्वरम के गरीब परिवार का एक छोटा सा बच्चा कभी देश का राष्ट्रपति ना बनता। ना तो कोई वैज्ञानिक एक दिन भारत को अंतरिक्ष की ऊंचाइयों तक ले जाने की कल्पना करता, ना ही कोई दूरदर्शी सोच भारत को परमाणु शक्ति संपन्न देश बना पाती, और ना ही कोई लड़की घर की चार दीवारी से बाहर निकलकर पद्मश्री से सम्मानित होने वाली भारत की पहली महिला वैज्ञानिक बन पाती। कहां से आते हैं ये सपने? कौन देखता है इन्हें? ना तो ये अमीर गरीब में फर्क करते हैं और ना ही क्षेत्र और रंग में। ये परखते हैं तो बस इन्हें देखने वालों के जज्बे को, उनके हार न मानने वाले जुनून को, और एक अडिग विश्वास को कि एक न एक दिन मंजिल जरूर मिलेगी, चाहे कुछ भी हो जाए। बस यही वो फर्क है जो सपनों के सच होने या ना होने के बीच है। गौर से देखें तो असंभव में भी संभव ही नजर आएगा। पिछले 25 सालों से बस यही तो करते आए हैं हम। आपके सपनों को सार्थक करके उन्हें उनकी मंजिल तक पहुंचाया है हमने। एग्रीकल्चर से लेकर एरोस्पेस तक, जमीन से आसमां के सफर में हर कदम पर साथ निभाया है हमने। आपके सपनों को बस पंख ही तो दिए हैं हमने। आज कुछ ऐसे ही सपनों के सच होने का जश्न मना रहे हैं हम, यानी टेक्नोलॉजी डेवलपमेंट बोर्ड, जहां सपने सच होते हैं।
Our Honorable Chief Guest is already in the premises, and soon he will be joining us here after interacting with the different startups which have their various displays outside. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to repeat that we have a blood donation camp which has been organized outside in the foyer area. The attendees who are interested in donating blood for a good social cause can do so, and we can go maybe one by one and donate blood. Blood donation camp organized in the foyer area outside. I repeat, जो भी लोग इंटरेस्टेड हैं ब्लड डोनेट करने के लिए, आप एक एक करके जा सकते हैं, और ये बहुत ही जो नेक कार्य है जो कि समाज के लिए बहुत ही उम्दा प्रयास है उनकी भलाई के लिए, उसमें हम सभी लोग पार्टिसिपेट कर सकते हैं. धन्यवाद. Ladies and gentlemen, now we are joined by our chief guest for today, Dr. Jitendra Singh, Honorable Union Minister of State, Independent Charge for Science and Technology, Earth Sciences, and Minister of State for PMO, Department of Atomic Energy, Department of Space, Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions. Let us join our hands in welcoming our chief guest, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji. आइए मिलकर स्वागत करते हैं. I also invite our dignitaries to kindly take their places on the dais. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest of honor, Padma Bhushan Dr. Ajay Chaudhary ji. जोरदार तालियों के साथ अभिनंदन करते हैं. Co-founder HCL, Chairman Mission Governing Board, National Quantum Mission of India. बहुत बहुत स्वागत. We welcome Professor Abhay Karandikar, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology on the stage. जोरदार तालियों के साथ स्वागत. Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, Secretary, Department of Biotechnology. Welcoming you, sir. Shri Rajesh Kumar Pathak, Secretary, TDB. सभी का बहुत बहुत स्वागत. एक बार जोरदार तालियां हमारे सभी अतिथियों के लिए. जैसे कि हमारे देश में परंपरा है, किसी भी शुभ कार्य की शुरुआत सदा हम ईश्वर के नाम के साथ करते हैं, उनकी वंदना के साथ, दीप प्रज्वलन के साथ. May I please invite our chief guest, our guest of honor, and other dignitaries on the dais to kindly light the ceremonial lamp and begin the proceedings for the day formally. चलते हैं अज्ञान से ज्ञान की ओर, अंधकार से प्रकाश की ओर, प्राणी से परमात्मा की ओर, एवं पदार्थ से सूक्ष्म की ओर. Let there be light in our lives. May we take the right decisions at the right time. The light of wisdom. Thank you very much. After the ceremonial lighting of the lamp, it is time to proceed forward. एक और परंपरा है जहां कहते हैं अतिथि देवो भव. अतिथियों का स्वागत सत्कार करना हमने सदा से ही परम धर्म माना है. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to welcome our dignitaries formally. May I please request Professor Abhay Karandikar, Secretary, DST, to kindly welcome our chief guest, the Honorable Minister, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji. बहुत बहुत स्वागत, बहुत बहुत अभिनंदन. तालियों के साथ अभिनंदन, करतल ध्वनि से आइए अभिनंदन करते हैं डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी का. Plants, as they say, are gifts that grow. May I please request Professor Abhay Karandikar to also welcome Padma Bhushan Dr. Ajay Chaudhary ji, our guest of honor. करतल ध्वनि से अभिनंदन. डॉक्टर अजय चौधरी हमारे बीच आज पहुंचे हैं. बहुत बहुत आभार, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us here today. Let's have a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Requesting Shri Rajesh Kumar Pathak ji, Secretary TDB, to please welcome Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, Secretary DBT. सभी का स्वागत, सभी का अभिनंदन. पुनः करतल ध्वनि से अभिनंदन. May I please request Shri Rajesh Kumar Pathak ji to also welcome Professor Abhay Karandikar ji. बहुत बहुत स्वागत हमारे सभी अतिथियों का। पुनः आइए करतल ध्वनि से स्वागत करें, जोरदार तालियां हमारे सभी अतिथियों के लिए। Let us join our hands for all our dignitaries who have joined us here today. Thank you very much for joining us here. शिल्पम विज्ञान संघेना निर्मितम लोक रक्षणे. Technology born from the union of knowledge and science is created for the welfare and protection of the world. It arises for the benefit of humanity through the application of engineering and innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme for this year's National Technology Day is Yantra, Yugantar for advancing new technology, research and acceleration, where Yantra symbolizes innovation, technology and machinery, the key pillars of India's deep tech revolution, while Yugantar means a transformative era perfectly reflecting India's shift towards a high-tech, investment-driven ecosystem. While software continues to drive digital transformation, innovations in hardware, particularly in manufacturing-based deep tech, are equally vital for achieving holistic and sustainable technological progress. The theme for this year's National Technology Day, Yantra, showcases our commitment to fostering hardware and deep tech innovation to realize the vision of a technologically self-reliant and future-ready nation. In order to welcome our august gathering today and also to set the tone, may I please request Sri Rajesh Kumar Pathak, Secretary, Technology Development Board, to kindly please present the welcome address. Ladies and gentlemen, please join hands in welcoming Sri Rajesh Kumar Pathak.
सुप्रभात। आज के कार्यक्रम के मुख्य अतिथि आदरणीय डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी, विशिष्ट अतिथि पद्म भूषण आदरणीय डॉक्टर अजय चौधरी जी, प्रोफेसर अभय क्रांतिकर जी, चेयरपर्सन टीडीबी, एंड राजेश गोखले जी, सेक्रेटरी डीबीटी, डिग्नेटरीज, innovators, scientists, industrialists. I saw many industrialists today, and friends from media, ladies and gentlemen. सर्वप्रथम आप लोगों का मैं प्रौद्योगिकी विकास बोर्ड की तरफ से और पूरे डीएसटी परिवार की तरफ से राष्ट्रीय प्रौद्योगिकी दिवस, नेशनल टेक्नोलॉजी डे पर बहुत बहुत बधाई और शुभकामना देता हूं और आप सबका हार्दिक स्वागत करता हूं। आज के ही दिन मदर्स डे भी है, तो इस अवसर पे मैं मातृबंधन के साथ साथ सारी मातृशक्ति का सादर नमन भी करता हूं। साथियों, ये एक ऐसा दिन हम सबके जीवन में भी होता है और एज ए राष्ट्र की बात करें, उसी में एक 11 मई भी एक ऐसा दिन है जो अविस्मरणीय है, जहां हम लोगों ने अपनी साइंटिफिक ताकत को पूरे विश्व को दिखलाया था। और उसके बाद जो पोखरण ब्लास्ट के बाद भारत सरकार ने ये निर्णय लिया कि हम लोग नेशनल टेक्नोलॉजी डे 11 मई को मनाएंगे, और ये 1999 से शुरू हुआ और टेक्नोलॉजी डेवलपमेंट बोर्ड को ये कार्यक्रम को करने का सुअवसर प्राप्त हुआ। उसके बाद से लगातार हम लोग इसको करते रहे हैं, और संयोग से जो इसकी 25वीं सालगिरह आप कह सकते हैं 2023 में, वो हम लोगों ने करीब पूरा 12 मिनिस्ट्री और डिपार्टमेंट के साथ मिलकर कार्यक्रम किया था, नेशनल टेक्नोलॉजी वीक सेलिब्रेट किया था, जिसमें हमें माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का मार्गदर्शन प्राप्त हुआ था। आज हम लोग 27th एडिशन ऑफ नेशनल टेक्नोलॉजी डे मनाने के लिए यहाँ सब एकत्रित हुए हैं। अटल जी की एक कविता, चूँकि पहला नेशनल टेक्नोलॉजी डे द देन प्राइम मिनिस्टर अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी ने शुरू किया था, तो उनकी कविता का मैं एक अंश कहना चाहूँगा, जो कि मोटो भी है। अपनी ध्येय यात्रा में हम कभी रुके नहीं हैं और किसी चुनौती के समक्ष झुके नहीं। सो हम लोग साइंटिफिक कम्युनिटी भी सारी चुनौतियों में, चाहे वो किसी भी लेवल पे हमारे पास आया हो, हमने उसको बाधा को पार किया है। इसी संदर्भ में जब हम भविष्य की बात करते हैं तो मुझे एक कोट याद आता है एलन के का, जिसको फादर ऑफ पर्सनल कंप्यूटर भी कहा जाता है, अमेरिकन कंप्यूटर साइंटिस्ट थे। उन्होंने कहा था, द बेस्ट वे टू प्रेडिक्ट फ्यूचर इज़ टू क्रिएट इट। तो शायद 11 मई 1998 को हम लोगों ने एक भविष्य के निर्माण की आधारशिला रखी थी, जिसके बेसिस पे हम ये फ्लरिश कर रहे हैं। और आज 26, 25, 27 साल के बाद बहुत सारे साइंटिफिक इनोवेशंस हम लोगों ने अपने लेवल पे किया है भारत की तरफ से। आज का थीम जो यंत्रा रखा गया है इस पूरे नेशनल टेक्नोलॉजी डे सेलिब्रेशन के लिए, एक अपने आप में एक अद्भुतपूर्व थीम है। जब हम कहते हैं युगांतर, युगांतर का मतलब होता है कि हम एक नए युग में प्रवेश कर रहे हैं। और इसकी प्रेरणा हमें कहीं, जो माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने 15 अगस्त 2022 को रेड फोर्ट से जब उन्होंने जय अनुसंधान ऐड किया था और कहा था कि ये जो डिकेड है, ये डिकेड टेक्नोलॉजी का डिकेड होगा, डिकेड ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी, जिसमें टेक्नोलॉजी डेवलपमेंट बोर्ड ने भी अपने तरफ से एक कोशिश की कि हम जो अच्छे और नए टेक्नोलॉजीज़ को, इनोवेटिव टेक्नोलॉजीज़ को हम कॉमर्शियल लेवल पर सपोर्ट करें। तो आज उसकी भी हम लोगों ने देखा कि 2025 उस डिकेड के मध्य में है। तो हमने ऐसी कौन सी टेक्नोलॉजीज़ जो एक सुपर 30 के नाम से हम ऐसे टेक्नोलॉजी का एक कंपाइलेशन आज आपके समक्ष प्रस्तुत करेंगे, जो 30 बेस्ट टेक्नोलॉजी हमने चूज किया, जो टीडीबी ने इन 5 सालों में प्रेजेंट किया है और हम लोगों ने सपोर्ट किया है। इसके अलावा जब अभी कुछ दिन पहले ही, आई थिंक 2 सप्ताह पहले, युग्म कॉन्फ्रेंस और जो भी एक कॉन्क्लेव था, उसमें भी प्रधानमंत्री जी ने बात कही थी कि 3T की बात कही थी, टैलेंट, टेम्परामेंट एंड टेक्नोलॉजी। सो टेक्नोलॉजी तो सभी जगह है, उसके बगैर हम कुछ सोच नहीं सकते। और उसी को सेलिब्रेट करने के लिए साइंटिफिक कम्युनिटीज़ की अचीवमेंट और उनके कंट्रीब्यूशन को हम याद करने के लिए आज यहाँ पे उपस्थित हुए हैं और एक प्रण लेने के लिए भी उपस्थित है कि आगे भी हमें इसमें कुछ करना है। मैं इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ, समय अभाव है, मैं बहुत ज़्यादा समय नहीं लूँगा। आपको एक बार पुनः राष्ट्रीय प्रौद्योगिकी दिवस में हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए हम सभी को धन्यवाद करते हैं। आप लोगों का सभी को हार्दिक स्वागत करते हैं। धन्यवाद।
The best way to predict future is to create it. Absolutely, all of us really agree with it. Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with your views, thoughts, and ideas today. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now invite the attention of everyone towards the screen for a video showcasing India's technological advancement journey. Let's take a look at the video, please.
Range ready? Ready.
Today at 15:45 hours.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
India conducted 3 underground nuclear tests in the Pokhran range.
The first anniversary of the second nuclear tests at Pokhran was celebrated as Technology Day on the 11th of May. A series of events marked the occasion. While addressing a ceremony to felicitate scientists, Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee justified the Pokhran tests and stressed the need for further improvement of the country's defense.
Pokhran not only brought strength to our national security, but also self-confidence to our national mind. It became the symbol of a resurgent India.
From Pokhran's historic sands to the skies where Hansa soared, India's legacy of ingenuity has always soared high.
पोखरण परमाणु परीक्षण के जरिए भारत ने न केवल अपने वैज्ञानिक सामर्थ्य को साबित किया, बल्कि भारत के वैश्विक कद को एक नई ऊंचाई भी दी थी।
May 11th, a date etched in India's story, celebrating triumphs of innovation and the relentless pursuit of excellence. From Pokhran's historic sands to the skies where Hansa soared, India's legacy of ingenuity has always soared high. We salute the pioneers, engineers, visionaries, scientists who laid the foundation of India's technological rise.
अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी ने जब विज्ञान कह करके उसमें एक कड़ी जोड़ दी थी और देश ने उसको प्राथमिकता दी थी, लेकिन अब अमृतकाल के लिए एक और अनिवार्यता है और वो है जय अनुसंधान, जय जवान, जय किसान, जय विज्ञान, जय अनुसंधान।
Today, India stands 39th in the Global Innovation Index and 6th in global IP filings. Quantum hubs, 32 petaflops of computing power, resilient climate tech, and 340 plus women scientists leading breakthroughs powering India's accent.
ये डेकेड मानव जात के लिए डेकेड का समय है, टेक्नोलॉजी का डेकेड है। भारत के लिए तो ये डेकेड जिसका मन टेक्नोलॉजी से जुड़ा हुआ है।
Quantum labs, EV assembly lines, supercomputers, and computing edge climate research define our new era. This National Technology Day, we celebrate under the theme Yantra, a call to the fast-track innovation, research, and strategic tech leadership for India's future. Led by TST and TDB, Yantra envisions strategic autonomy in critical technologies, industry-academia synergies, private investments alongside government support, innovation-driven nation building.
India is no longer a follower, ladies and gentlemen. On the contrary, India today beckons others to follow her. और ये सब इसलिए संभव हो पाया कि गत 11 वर्षों में प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने सरकार में विज्ञान, प्रौद्योगिकीकरण, नवाचार को सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकता दी और ये एहसास करवाया कि यदि भारत को आगे बढ़ना है तो उसका रास्ता विज्ञान और नवाचार से होकर के गुजरता है।
Let's celebrate National Technology Day and honor the contributions of Indian scientists, researchers, innovators, entrepreneurs, and policy makers who have made India proud on the global stage. Join in advancing the nation's vision of a Viksit Bharat.
That was a wonderful video. अगर भारत को आगे बढ़ना है तो उसका रास्ता विज्ञान और नवाचार से होकर ही गुजरता है. That was a wonderful video, ladies and gentlemen. And as rightly mentioned, confidence not only in our technological advancements, but also giving confidence to the national mind. Thank you very much. Moving on, may I now please request Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, to kindly please deliver the keynote address. So, ladies and gentlemen, जोरदार तालियों के साथ स्वागत Dr. Rajesh.
Honorable Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, Padma Vibhushan, Dr. Ajay Chaudhary ji, co-founder HCL, Professor Abhay Karandikar, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, Sri Rajesh Pathak ji, Director, Technology Development Board, distinguished dignitaries of the dais, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me begin by congratulating all of you on this wonderful occasion of National Technology Day, because the science, as you've heard, science and technology to our community has made unwavering commitments and through creativity has created new technological waves in the country that is actually taking up to the next directions of how Viksit Bharat would emerge in next 25 years. As we gather here to celebrate National Technology Day, we not only commemorate the historic Pokhran nuclear test conducted in May 11, as you just saw in the video, actually in 1998, but was also reflect the remarkable technology strides that India has made since then, and more so in last decade, in a very, very rapid way, actually. That is quite astounding for us to look at. I think it reminds us of a collective resolve to harness technology for national progress. In just a year, if you really think of how many things in Government of India has initiated, amazing speed along with partnerships. For example, we now can call ourselves, positioning ourselves as one of the global players in the technology era sector across multiple sectors, for example, whether it is quantum computing, artificial intelligence, to semiconductors, to clean energy, water innovations, space exploration, and biotechnology. We are witnessing breakthroughs that are shaping the future that are at an unprecedented scale, and also the speed and timelines are really, really very rapid, actually. I think under the leadership of Honorable Minister, let me just talk to you about how biotechnology is shaping tomorrow's science and technology frontiers, actually. I think biotechnology, once considered as a niche science area, is very rapidly emerging as a backbone of the central pillar of our nation's technological future. If you really look at, it was always thought to be perceived to be a scientific activity to be able to do things. However, now I completely believe that we have an established platforms that are capable of addressing some of the most pressing challenges of our times. Maybe climate change, food and nutrition, security, public health, and pandemic preparedness. I think the technologies that are going to be transformational, let me share some of these that are emerging at a very rapid pace. I mean, cell and gene therapy, which until recently was considered as an experimental, now entering the mainstream framework with the recent first completion of a first clinical trial in India for the hemophilia B subjects, actually offering hopes for diseases that were once thought to be completely untreatable. Indian scientists, clinicians, and bioengineers are all playing a key role in advancing the ingenuity and determination of these activities. Similarly, the new tools of genome editing like CRISPR and other technologies that are actually are changing the complete scenario at an unprecedented pace. The personalized medicine, next generation agriculture, bio-based manufacturing, these are actually are the strategic investments for the future of our country. And I think today's day is a resolve for us to completely take this forward at an unprecedented speed and prowess. Let me give you two shining examples that happened in last couple of years, actually, that stands really tall of this activity, that boost our morale and activity. The first one is the CAR T cell therapy, a breakthrough in cancer treatment. It has been successfully developed indigenously in India, and for the first time, personalized immunotherapy has reached what you can offer to the patients at a fraction of the global cost that is actually available in the West. This is not just science in action, I call it science with compassion, access, and also affordability. That's the true sense of the scientific progress that we talk about. The second one has been the nephromycin, the antibiotic, which was after 35 years have been identified as one of the key game changer in the country. It's developed for treating community-acquired pneumonia. Our country was always known for a generic medicines, actually, whereas this one is kind of documented evidence that we are on the path of success of glory to really develop new molecules and new drugs that will actually be the game changer of this. And the pharmaceutical innovation and global biotech can continue to create waves all across the country and world. I think these breakthroughs are underpinned by visionary national initiatives coordinated by Department of Biotechnology under the Honorable Minister's leadership, actually. And this is in partnership with BIRAC, which has been our industry partner and collaborator, as well as institutions of Biotechnology Research Innovation Council that are actually spread around the country and provides the innovation ecosystem, actually. The projects like Genome India project has successfully sequenced 10,000 Indian genomes and lays the foundation of data-driven and precision healthcare, actually. These are done for the healthy subjects, and now we need to, this sets a baseline standard for what our genomic variations are in the country for 83 populations all across our country's map. And this map now provides us ways to look at disease perspective, disease mutations, the drivers, particularly in the oncogenomes perspective. Lastly, but not the least, the BioE3 policy is steering us towards sustainable, inclusive, and high-performance biomanufacturing by aligning investments, infrastructure, and innovation across all the biotech industry, actually. To truly take global bioeconomic role, actually, we need to really advance several aspects of our perspective. For example, we need to accelerate genome editing and advanced platforms, integrate AI and quantum technologies into various activities of biologic and life sciences, scale clinical translational research and biofoundry infrastructure and biomanufacturing capacity, build a robust regulatory ecosystem, and ensure equitability, affordability, and accessibility to all citizens. Let us remember the future is not built in silos. Our strength will come from our ability to integrate ourselves, our research, our disciplines, from AI to genomics, from digital systems to biological platforms. India's success story will be written not just by the technologists, but by the collective commitment of the collaborations and innovations impact. Let us harness our talent, our data, which is the most critical, I think, of our country's process that we can really use really well, and our determination to build a smarter, healthier, and a more resilient India, powered by science and driven by the purpose. Thank you.
Thank you very much for enlightening us with your address and also for those positive examples of breakthrough researchers taking our morale higher. Time to harness our talent for a resilient and smarter India. Thank you very much for that wonderful address. Ladies and gentlemen, as we proceed, may I please now request Professor Abhay Karandikar, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, to also deliver the keynote address. Zordar taliyon ke saath punah abhinandan.
Thank you very much. Honorable Union Minister for Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, founder of HCL and also currently who happens to be the chairman of the Mission Governing Board of National Quantum Mission, Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, and Mr. Rajesh Pathak, Secretary of Technology Development Board, all the distinguished guests. Let me begin by first extending my warm greetings on the National Technology Day. As was mentioned by Mr. Rajesh Pathak and also shown in the film, this day happens to be a day for commemoration of our Pokhran nuclear test. But today, it has actually become a celebration of the spirit of innovation in our country. From a country of technology seekers, now we have gradually advanced to a country which is developing indigenous technologies across many sectors. And I think my colleague, Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, pointed out in some of the key sectors of biotechnology, drug discovery, and pharmaceutical sciences. The Department of Science and Technology has been one of the key enablers for this technology development through various initiatives. One of them happens to be the Technology Development Board, which has helped in scaling the startups from their innovations and product developments to a growth scale. But in the department, we have been one of the pioneers in setting up incubators across the academic institutions and universities and research labs in the country. Today, the Department of Science and Technology has been supporting more than 150 incubators and has been supporting the startups through its flagship Nidhi programs, either in the form of providing seed supports to the deep tech startups or in the form of nurturing and mentoring entrepreneurs through programs such as Nidhi Prayas and Nidhi EIR, Entrepreneurship in Residence. The Department of Science and Technology has launched many deep tech missions. National Quantum Mission is one of them, and Dr. Ajay Chaudhary happens to be the chairperson of the governing board of the National Quantum Mission. We also have a national mission on cyber physical system. There are missions that we are participating on climate change and clean energy. We are also, with our sister ministry, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, a part of National Supercomputing Mission. Through these various mission mode programs and R&D programs, we have been supporting the deep tech startups either in the area of cyber physical system or in the area of clean energy or in the area of quantum technologies. In fact, under National Quantum Mission, more recently, we have supported 8 quantum startups with a funding support, total funding support of about 70 crores. And through our mission on cyber physical system, we would have supported more than 300 startups across our 25 mission hubs in the country. So it is clear that the Department of Science and Technology, working with our sister departments, Department of Biotechnology, and other ministries like MIT and Department of Telecom and MNRE, have been supporting the deep tech startups to innovate in various areas of science and technology. Therefore, I think, as was mentioned by Mr. Pathak, that we hope that in the coming years, we can take the spirit of innovations to achieve the strategic autonomy and our country becoming a product nation leading to the vision of Vikasit Bharat of our Honorable Prime Minister. On this National Technology Day, I would like to express my gratitude to scientists, engineers, and innovators, both past and present, whose work has made our country stronger and more self-reliant. Let us reaffirm our commitment to harnessing the power of technology for the national progress and the global good. As Dr. Abdul Kalam has once said, dream, dream, and dream, because it are the dreams which transforms into thoughts, and thoughts, they result in action. Let us dream of a future where we can lead not only in technology development for impacting our society and national cause, but also making a global impact in the coming years. Thank you very much for coming to celebrate this National Technology Day. I hope that together with the cooperation of all our scientists, engineers, and innovators, we can realize the vision of a developed nation founded on the basis of science and technology. Jai Hind, thank you.
Indeed, a day for commemoration of the Pokhran Nuclear Day, transforming into a day for celebration of technological advancements. May the findings and innovations be beneficial to the entire humanity. Thank you very much, sir, for enlightening us with your thoughts and views today. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest of honor, Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, Padma Bhushan awardee and co-founder of HCL, also known as the father of Indian hardware, is a pioneering force in India's electronics and IT industry. He has led transformative initiatives in hardware, startups, and policy, including chairing the National Quantum Mission and serving as a distinguished fellow at Niti Aayog. As a champion of self-reliance in electronics, he co-founded the EPIC Foundation and has mentored over 50 startups. He also contributes to education and philanthropy through institutions like IIT Hyderabad and the Swayam Trust. May I please invite Dr. Chaudhary to deliver the National Technology Day lecture on the topic of technology sovereignty. Zordar Taliyan.
Thank you. Good morning, Honorable Minister, Dr. Gokhale, Professor Karandikar, and Sri Pathak, and other dignitaries present here today. It's an honor to be invited to this function when we really celebrate one of the greatest technological advancements that the country made in 1988. And all that has led to many, many more over the years and recently under the guidance and leadership of Prime Minister Modi. This has really taken shape and starting to move much, much faster than what we have seen in the past. As we look at the world today, and we are also in the midst of something like a war, there are major, major changes occurring all over the world. And these trends, macro trends that I see, that are really shaping the world in a very different way than what we have seen in the past. And these are happening at very, very accelerated pace. They're not at the old pace that we used to see in the past. And also, they're occurring concurrently. So these trends that I talk about, the first major trend is technology. I think the pace of change in technology is now very, 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 very different from what we used to see earlier. It's moving at a pace that, very, very tough to catch up. And the world has to now look at it in a very different way. And we have to respond as people, as society, to this change in technology again. As you can see, AI is making a huge impact globally, and everybody is struggling to find different solutions using AI. Till now, AI was not at the center of everything, but now pretty much it's becoming the center of a lot of areas. And if we look at AI, it's been there for 50 years. It's not anything new. But the pace of change that's happened since the launch of ChatGPT has been just mind-blowing. On an average, literally, you see something new happening every day, maybe every half a day. And maybe next few years, we'll see every hour, and maybe every 10 minutes. So this kind of unprecedented change that's happening is something which we have never seen before. There's another thing that's happening, which is the global reset, as I call it. Reset in trade, in industry, where, again, major changes are taking place, where producing or manufacturing or designing is moving all over. And it used to be something different maybe 2 months ago. But since the new president came in the US, he has actually, taken it in a very different direction. And we now, as a world, need to respond to it. And as a country, we need to respond to it. And we also now need to take cognizance of the fact that China is a huge force today in technology. And also the changes that are taking place in geopolitics, where a lot of countries are becoming self-centered. It's a unipolar world. It is no longer a multipolar world. And in this unipolar world, again, the response from technology has to be very, very different. And what should India do to respond to this change that's taking place? And of course, huge impact with climate. We are disastrously close, 2027, when we'll be at 1.5 degrees. So all these trends that are taking place are something that are impacting what we as a country need to do and what direction we should take in technology. We are a very vibrant democracy, but we also need to very seriously look at, again, all kinds of land grabbing, etc., that's taking place. And sovereignty has become the centerpiece that I think we should look at. Technology sovereignty is something that I really want to talk about. अभी तक हम लोग आत्मनिर्भरता की बात करते थे, अब हमें आत्मीयता की बात करनी पड़ेगी, और इसको देखकर हमें जो चेंजेस हैं वो हमें आगे ले जाने पड़ेंगे। तो अभी तक we used to be a rule taker. Now we need to be a rule framer. And this rising on, off, US-China confrontation is also making things a lot difficult for us. But India has a phenomenal amount of advantages. And the biggest advantage is our talent pool. We have great technology capability, and probably science is the answer to the future of India. If we look at it, when the US looks at India, what do they see? Very large market and largest user of US technologies. If you look at Meta, we are the largest user of Facebook in the world. So I think we have something which we can position ourselves very well if we really make sure that the world understands where we are coming from. And as we go forward, just the way it happened post-Pokhran, when a lot of technology was denied to us, and I think what will happen in this unipolar world as we look forward, that denial will be the new normal. And already the US has put conditions on export of quantum computers. GPUs is something that happened 5-6 months ago. So these are things that we are very used to. We have actually seen it at atomic energy and space. And in atomic energy and space, both, we actually succeeded in creating our own technologies. And we were very, very successful. So where should we go as more and more of this denial will happen? And I think each of these, we typically as a country tend to respond extremely well to crisis. And this new crisis of technology denial and newer kinds of wars that will take place, wars will no longer be fought alone. We've seen what's happening in India, Pakistan. But as we go to the future, wars will not just be fought with arms and ammunition. They will be fought with their minds. And as one of the Senate members of the United States said a few years ago, Senator Ben Sasse, he said, the next wars will be fought with semiconductors. So these kind of challenges, these kind of changes are something that we must be able to take in account as we go forward and plan our strategy for the country. And if we look back at COVID, when the crisis happened, the whole of nation approach was what we saw. The government, the industry, research institutions, literally everyone got together and started to look at what needs to be done to handle COVID. And out of the woodworks emerged PPEs, vaccines, ventilators. Everything got created in a very short period of time. So somehow as a country, we respond extremely well to crisis. And I think this kind of new crisis that's happening today with the new unipolar world, we need to again respond in a whole of nation approach. And we now need to make sure that science and technology is at the center, but we now make sure that government, research institutions, industries, startups, all work together in terms of being a whole of nation approach. Till now, denials have happened from the US. Europe can also happen. I'm hearing that Europe is also considering certain technology denials. China has also put in place many denials. Gallium and germanium, rare earth elements, graphite, antimony, and delay in sending manpower, delay in ensuring equipment to come to Foxconn for manufacturing of Apple. These kind of things we are seeing now. This is a different kind of war, where denials are going to be the way the world will fight. And India's strategic choices are something that we must consider. And I absolutely believe that India's rise will be resisted. It will be a seriously resisted rise. And you know which countries I'm talking about, but they will want to make sure India does not rise. India does not become a competitor. India must remain a consumer and a big market. That's good enough. They do not want us to rise in terms of many things that we are doing, and especially in technology. So where should we go? I think it's very, very clear and obvious, and the government has been taking extremely good steps to make these things happen. And I think what we need to do is to reduce dependence on US technology and China trade. We are actually sitting between two giants, and we are impacted by US technology, and on the other hand, we import a huge bunch of products from China. And as we saw in the war that's sort of happening today, China is very strongly with Pakistan. And they're giving all their technology and everything to Pakistan. So it's not in our interest to be just where we are today. We need to move forward and move very, very fast and do things that are different and things that are required for the future of the country, where our dependence is reduced over a period of time. So we need to create a next 10, 15-year plan where we need to, as Professor Karandikar says, we need to move from services to a product nation direction. And I think ANRF is a great beginning that DST and the government have made. It'll be a terrific start to what we are wanting to achieve with different technologies. And I think we need to go beyond ANRF, where DST and the government have announced a RDI fund, which will take us to becoming a product nation. So we need to, we have seen what is lacking in the country today. Research has been limited majorly to government and scientific institutions. The involvement of corporates in R&D has been extremely poor. And this is an area that needs serious change and direction from the government. I think government has to help kickstart this whole thinking and mindset change among corporates for investing more in R&D. In the past, we have actually used all kinds of incentives for R&D, and they've really not worked. So what we need to do is something completely different. And that is where this whole RDI fund that the government has envisaged is going to take center stage along with ANRF. It has to sit next to ANRF to take us forward in this whole journey to create our own critical technologies. And to achieve this, we need to, in a manner, go towards achieving technology sovereignty. As I said, आत्मीयता की तरफ जाना है हमको. और इसके लिए we have to make sure that we invest in R&D in identified areas so that corporates, startups, SMEs, research institutions, education institutions work together to create products for the future in different technologies. Till now, there's been a lot of impetus in the research institutions to work from TRL 1 to maybe take it to TRL 6 and 7. But a major change was made by the government when the National Quantum Mission was set up. And when I started to look at how the Quantum Mission set its objectives, the major objective and the major change that the government brought in its cabinet note itself, was that the quantum mission must work towards creating products. It's not just that we need to go from TRL 1 to TRL 7, we now need to take it to TRL 9, and we need to involve startups to take the products to market in India and globally. So I think this direction that the government has given in the National Quantum Mission needs to be taken forward in every area that we can think of. It has to be a clear direction towards being a product nation. Well, to achieve this technology sovereignty, we need to identify 10, 12 specific areas where we must look at taking a leadership position. So these could be artificial intelligence, these could be drones, could be telecom. Telecom we've done extremely well. We have our own telecom stack, electric mobility, medtech and genomics, electronics and semiconductors, obviously, quantum. And we need to continue our journey towards making more and more software products out of India. Our focus till now has been on software services. This software services has served us extremely well. And we have $280 billion of exports taking place. If today software services were not there, India would be in trouble. But now this whole capability and skill set that we have developed in software needs to transform towards making software products. Good news is that we started to see a lot of change here in the last 10 years. Many software product companies have been born, but that's not good enough. We need to create the Oracles of this world. We need to create the SAPs of this world. Yes, we have done a tremendous job in creating India Stack. UPI is something that is respected the world over. So if we can do UPI, we can do other areas too. And in private sector, if you see, Zoho is today a $1.5 billion company. My own company, HCL, is a $1.6 billion software product company. And this change is something that we need to drive and make sure that we go towards products. Similarly, agri-tech is an area which has great potential for us to create technology and products and take a leadership position. Nuclear is a very important area. As large number of data centers get set up in the country, nuclear has to play a major role. We can't just depend on existing technologies. We need to use nuclear, and SMRs and MMRs are something that we need to develop on our own and create these capabilities. Power electronics is a very interesting, large area where we need to create our own technologies. With the direction that the Indian Semiconductor Mission is taking on creating compound semiconductor facilities, power electronics will have a great fillip because the inputs for power electronics are compound semiconductors. And things like cargo transportation. We need to move cargo much, much faster than what we do today. So there are large, interesting areas where science and technology can play a huge role. And how do we take this direction of creating our own technologies? We just cannot remain dependent because technology denial is going to happen whether we like it or not. So we need to create, in the next 15 years, a Qualcomm out of India. We need to create an open AI out of India. That's the way we have to look at. And also, it should not just remain in research and education. It needs to be in the industry. Industry has to be deeply involved in making this happen. And we need to build companies that are indispensable. Look at what Taiwan has done. TSMC is indispensable. How do we do this in this country? It's something that we must put our heads down as nation first and make it happen. And the risk of inaction, as I pointed out earlier, are going to be that we'll become a bigger trade colony of China, technology colony of the US, and we'll continue to be stuck in the middle income trap. We also need to look very strongly at a very major area of concern, which is security. Security is something that we need to take into account as we look at developing this whole technology sovereignty area in the country. You look at the whole situation of electronics and semiconductors. Many years ago, I wrote a report for the government where I said that one day the electronics import bill of this country is going to be higher than the oil bill. It's pretty much happening today. We are importing too much of electronics in the country. And there are security implications of this import. So what are these security implications? If you look at every product that we are making today in the country under Make in India itself uses a lot of Chinese technology. We are using Chinese chips at many, many places. We have drones that we are manufacturing and making, but the components inside are from China. The chips are inside are from China. You look at our LED bulbs, chips are from China. Everything that you see, we are importing from China. And we all know that there are trapdoors inside Chinese chips. So we need to be very careful in terms of security implications of such areas. So I think, as I said earlier, ANRF and RDI are looking like great initiatives of the country. These two will join together to help kickstart research in the private sector. Private sector research is where we need to pay a lot of attention, and we need to think very strongly about our right to win in each of these areas that I have identified earlier. One major area of concern, as I've been working in the quantum mission, is how do we make ease of doing research happen in the country. Today, there are issues there, and we need to make sure that all those roadblocks are removed so researchers can go and do more research than doing administration. And one major area where we can make success in scaling our startups and private sector companies who are creating products is to provide government procurement and demand aggregation as a very major weapon, which is used by every country. I mean, you look at the United States, Biden put aside $500 billion for Make in America. So why we can't do it is something that we must think. That the government has a program for it, preferential market access, but unfortunately it doesn't really work. So that is a very major area which needs to be taken into account as we start to go towards technology sovereignty. And today, there are other opportunities for us to take a leapfrog in technology also. A lot of countries are aging, and as these countries are aging, there are great opportunities for India to go and buy companies out there, or buy technologies out there, and leapfrog and start not from 0, but maybe from 30. So this is something that we must attempt to do. So what will this result in? I guess it will result in strategic autonomy, tech sovereignty, and we need to create national champions that at one day dominate global markets. What's going for India? What's going for India is our scientific and technology capability and the Indian mind. But pace at which we work has to be very, very different. Because as I said earlier, the pace at which the changes are taking place, technologies are moving, the current pace that we are on needs to be dramatically faster. Thank you very much.
Reducing the dependence and moving from services to a product nation. Thank you very much, sir, for that inspirational address of yours. Thank you for joining us here today and enlightening us with your words, thoughts, and ideas today. Thank you once again. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now release the compendium on Super 30 Technologies funded by TDB. May I please request the Honorable Minister, Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, and the other dignitaries on the dais to kindly please release this compendium on Super 30 Technologies funded by TDB. This compendium, released by the Technology Development Board, is a curated showcase of 30 standout technologies supported by the board that exemplifies India's innovation potential. These technologies span critical areas such as clean energy, healthcare, sustainability, and societal impact, reflecting the theme of Yantra, Yugantar for advancing new technology research and acceleration. The compendium captures transformative solutions developed by Indian startups and tech enterprises, underscoring TDB's role in nurturing indigenous technologies and translating science into scalable, market-ready products. Let's have the video, please. Thank you very much. Since inception, TDB has been functioning as an enabler, a bridge between research and market. Continuing the legacy, we are happy to announce that this year we have 4 such innovative products funded by Technology Development Board ready to be launched now. May I please request Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, and the other dignitaries to kindly launch these products. The first in the line is Messrs. Swajal Water Private Limited, Gurugram, Haryana. Launching the product IoT-enabled water purification system developed by Swajal Water Private Limited. It's a compact IoT AI-enabled solar-powered system that delivers clean drinking water, which also monitors water quality in real time. This purifier delivers hydration without plastic waste and zero carbon emissions at a cost cheaper than buying plastic water bottle. Can we first take a look quickly at the video and then invite the representatives? So meanwhile, inviting Dr. Vibha Tripathi, Director, Mr. Anant Gaur, Vice President R&D, and Dr. Rashmi Singh, Project Coordinator TDB, to kindly please join us on the stage.
With the funding and mentorship support from Technology Development Board, we at Swajal have been able to strengthen our AI and IoT capabilities, significantly enhancing the technology behind our solar-powered water ATMs. This support has helped us grow and innovate, leading to new launches that cater to a wider range of industries and use cases.
Mrs. Swajal Water Private Limited, Gurugram, Haryana. Compact IoT AI-enabled solar-powered system that delivers clean drinking water. Thank you. Launching the product ICU ventilator developed by Nokark Robotics Private Limited, Pune, Maharashtra. It is India's first BIS certified ventilator approved by CDSCO as most advanced ICU ventilator designed to serve all patient categories, adult, pediatric and neonatal. Supporting a full range of invasive, non-invasive and oxygen therapy modes, this ventilator comes equipped with advanced modules including SpO2, EtCO2, volumetric capnography, metabolic monitoring, TPP and dual nebulizers. We'll take a look at the video and also invite the representatives from the company. Shri Nikhil Kurele.
ICU ventilator supports adult, pediatric and neonatal patients across invasive, non-invasive and oxygen therapy modes. With internet
Shri Nikhil Kurele, co-founder and chief executive officer, along with Shri Shritij Singh,
device and over-the-air software
project
updates.
coordinator TDB.
The ventilator is manufactured in a completely digitalized facility in Pune.
जोरदार तालियां सभी की ओर से. The ICU ventilator developed by Nokark Robotics. Thank you. Launching the product Solis Plus developed by Dhruva Space Private Limited, Hyderabad, Telangana. Solis Plus is a range of space-grade solar arrays precision engineered and manufactured to operate in the demanding conditions of space, offering customized power capacities of up to a few kilowatt with multiple configurations that are suitable for larger classes of satellites and spacecraft. So while we take a look at the video, representatives from the company, Mr. Abhay Igur,
Dhruva Space Solis and Solis Plus solar arrays engineered
co-founder,
for maximum efficiency, performance and reliability.
and Dr.
These
Sarmista
Made in India
Reddy.
solar arrays have already powered our missions and are set to fly on several upcoming client ventures. Solis is a lightweight, modular solar array delivering high power density ideal for CubeSats from 0.5U to 16U, providing up to 1 kilowatt of power. For larger spacecraft, Solis Plus takes it further, offering up to 100 kilowatts of power built with state-of-the-art multi-junction solar cell assemblies and carbon fiber reinforced polymer substrate. So, Solis Plus is designed to power the future of space exploration. Adaptable and versatile Solis and Solis Plus are suitable for both crewed and uncrewed
Launching the
missions,
product
addressing diverse operations.
Garv bottom gas lift system developed by Well RX Technologies Private Limited, Rewari, Haryana. Garv is the state-of-the-art technology to rejuvenate the existing sick oil and gas wells and increase the production of hydrocarbons, oil and gas. With Garv, lifting gas can be injected deep beyond the setting depth of the completion packer in an oil or gas well that is close to reservoir and perforation. Let's take a look at the video and also invite the representatives from the company, Mr. Rahul Gupta, Mr. Sandeep Singh, along with Dr. Sarmista Reddy, Senior Project Coordinator, TDB.
With the first oil well in Digboy, Assam, the birthplace of Asia's petroleum story. But over a century later, most of the critical technologies
A round of applause,
used in
ladies
our
and gentlemen.
exploration and
Zordar
production
taliyan.
still come from abroad. Today, we take a bold step forward. We are proud to introduce a Make in India innovation, the Well RX Gurva, bottom gas lift system, developed with the support of the Technology Development Board. Across India, hundreds of oil and gas wells remain shut, not because they are dry, but because they are loaded with water or condensate, choking the flow of hydrocarbons. This challenge, known as liquid loading, results from low gas velocity and leads to production losses, high operating costs, and wasted capital. Conventional gas lift systems can only inject gas above the completion packer, limiting their ability to revive these wells. Gurv changes that. For the first time in India, lifting gas can now be injected beyond the set packer, deep near the reservoir or perforation. This rigless, fully retrievable system lowers installation costs, minimizes back pressure, and revives sick wells without disturbing the force balance of the well. The result? Reactivated shut wells, extended production life, and lower operating costs, all while avoiding the heavy capital burden of workovers or recompletions. This innovation is not just a product, it's a vision for a self-reliant India in the oil and gas sector. It represents a leap in indigenous technology designed by our engineers, for our reservoirs, and for the future of energy security. On behalf of WellRx Technologies, we thank the Technology Development Board for believing in this vision. Together, we're not just lifting hydrocarbons from the earth, We're lifting India's position in the global energy landscape. With GERV, we are not just lifting fluids, we're lifting possibilities. This is innovation made in India.
Thank you very much.
For
Thank you.
India and for the...
So, well, that was a wonderful product. In fact, all of them were really wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, under the National Quantum Mission, India has launched calls for collaborative proposals on quantum algorithms and for setting up undergraduate teaching labs aiming to boost research, innovation, and skill development in quantum technologies. These initiatives will strengthen India's global position in quantum science and build a future-ready quantum workforce. May I now invite Dr. J.B.V. Reddy, Head National Quantum Mission, DST, and his team, Dr. Swati Raval Dang, Scientist D, and Mr. Anurag Mishra, Scientist C, to please join us on the stage. So, a few slides, and the call is launched. Launching call for collaborative proposals for technical group in quantum algorithms under the Quantum Computing T-Hub, a landmark initiative aimed at propelling India to the forefront of quantum research and innovation. Moving on to call 2. Launching call for proposals for establishment of undergraduate teaching laboratories in quantum technologies, which focuses on strengthening hands-on education and experiential learning in quantum technologies for engineering undergraduates across India. Thank you very much. To support India's net zero goals, the Department of Science and Technology has launched a first-of-its-kind initiative to deploy carbon capture utilization, CCU, in the cement sector through Academia Industry Consortia. 5 CCU test beds will demonstrate decarbonization pathways and encourage wider adoption and commercialization of the technology. Let's take a look at the video.
At the heart of India's climate goals lies the Panchamrit Commitment, a visionary climate framework introduced by the Honorable Prime Minister at the COP26 summit in Glasgow. A crucial element of this vision is the role of carbon capture, utilization, and storage technologies. With the visionary guidance of the Honorable Minister of State for Science and Technology and Earth Sciences, Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, and the dynamic leadership of Secretary DST, Professor Abhay Karandikar, the Climate, Energy and Sustainable Technology Division at DST is driving India's CCUS research, development and deployment. DST's leadership also extends to the establishment of India's first National Centers of Excellence in CCUS at IIT Bombay, JNCSR Bengaluru and CSIR Needi. These centers have led to early innovations and breakthrough solutions which are being transformed into commercial ventures by startups named Urja Novak and Breathe Applied Sciences. A key initiative by DST involves identifying sector-specific research priorities. In the power sector, for example, DST is focusing on developing advanced CO2 capture technologies that can be seamlessly integrated into existing coal gasification facilities. 2 such CCU test beds for capturing CO2 and converting to methanol and dimethyl ether are coming up in Pune and in Hyderabad. The latest initiative focuses on the cement sector, where DST is ensuring that indigenous CCU technologies are ready for widespread deployment across India's hard-to-abate cement sector. 5 Academia Industry Consortia have been approved by DST in a public-private partnership mode.
On this Technology Day, we are honored to announce grants to 5 Academia Industry Consortia approved by DST in a public-private partnership mode. These consortia have been selected for the deployment of CO capture technologies from cement plants and its conversion pathways into value-added products. It's my pleasure to inform that these 5 grants will be presented by the Honorable Minister, Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, in the esteemed presence of our other dignitaries on the dais. I also request Dr. Anita Gupta, Advisor and Head CEST, and Dr. Neelima Alam, Associate Head and Coordinator, CCUS Program CEST, to kindly please join us on the dais. So test bed 1, I request the team for setting up a pilot plant facility of carbon dioxide capture of about 2 TPD using oxygen-based calciner and its utilization in lightweight concrete products and olefins to come forward and receive their grants from the Honorable Minister, please. Dr. LP Singh and his team, Professor KK Pant, Shri Sameer Bharadwaj, and Shri Manish Toshniwal. Knowledge partners NCC, BM and IIT Roorkee, and industry partners JK Cement Limited. जोरदार तालियां सभी के लिए. Thank you very much. Test bed 2. I request the team for pilot scale deployment of carbon negative integrated carbon capture mineralization technology, ICCM, in the cement sector for net emission reduction to please come forward and receive their grants from the Honorable Minister, please. Dr. Soumyabrata Roy and his team, Dr. Raghavendra Ragipani, Dr. Raju Kumar Gupta, Ms. Aishwarya Rai, Dr. Jagbandhu Kole. Knowledge partner IIT Kanpur and industry partner JSW Cement Limited. Let's have a bigger round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Test bed 3, I request the team for CO2 capture demonstration plant at Dalmia Cement Facility based on an indigenously designed catalytic process to please come forward and receive their grants. Dr. Arnab Datta and his team, Dr. Vikram Vishal, Shri Mahendra Singhi, Shri Anupam Badola. Knowledge partner IIT Bombay and industry partner Dalmia Cement Bharat Limited. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for the entire team. Knowledge partners IIT Bombay and industry partners Dalmia Cement. Test bed 4, I request the team for vacuum swing absorption process for carbon dioxide capture from cement kiln gas and its utilization within the construction material value chain to please come forward and receive their grants. Dr. Somen Das Gupta and his team, Professor Sasidhar Gumma, Professor Soradeep Gupta, Dr. Jagabandhu Kole, and Ms. Aishwarya Rai. Knowledge partner CSIR Indian Institute of Petroleum IIT Tirupati and IISc Bengaluru, and industry partner JSW Cement Limited. Let's join hands in congratulating them. Zordar taaliyan sabhi ke liye. Test bed 5, requesting the team for innovative interventions in cement industry for lowering carbon impact to please come forward and receive their grants. Dr. Manu Santhanam and his team, Professor Srinivas Krishna Swami and Shri Raju Goel. Knowledge partner IIT Madras and BITS Pilani Goa, and industry partner Ultratech Cement Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for them as well. The team for innovative interventions in cement industry for lowering carbon impact. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, our chief guest, Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, is the Union Minister of State, Independent Charge for the Ministry of Science and Technology and the Ministry of Earth Sciences, as well as Minister of State in the Prime Minister's Office, Department of Atomic Energy and Department of Space. He is a distinguished physician specializing in diabetes and endocrinology. He has also served as a professor, author, and a newspaper columnist. Dr. Singh has been instrumental in advancing India's science and technology landscape, championing initiatives like the National Quantum Mission and fostering industry-led innovation. His leadership has significantly contributed to India's rise in global innovation rankings and the promotion of a robust startup ecosystem. May I please invite you, sir, for your address. Ladies and gentlemen, with a big round of applause, let's welcome Dr. Jitendra Singh ji for his address.
The keynote speaker this afternoon, Madam Bhushan Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, Professor Abhay Karandikar, Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, Head of the Technology Development Board, Mr. Pathak, members of the scientific fraternity, young innovators, friends from media, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I have to compliment you all and also compliment myself on the occasion of National Technology Day. And as was being mentioned by Mr. Pathak in his opening remarks, this day began with the spirit of commemorating the success of Pokhran test. And I think today we are observing this day at a time and a point where we are actually having the confidence to say that we have vindicated the success of all that the Pokhran test meant for. And the day began with the motivation and the idea given to us by the then Prime Minister Vajpayee. And incidentally, as was being mentioned by Pathak, the Silver Jubilee, the 25th National Technology Day, was addressed by Prime Minister Modi. And I think, in other words, the concept or the idea of National Technology Day was conceptualized by Prime Minister Vajpayee, and it has come of age during the regime of Prime Minister Modi. And incidentally, this year we are observing National Technology Day when over the last few days there has been abundant opportunity actually for India to demonstrate its scientific prowess to the rest of the world. And the armed conflict these days is more or less driven by technology. Any warfare today, or a modern warfare, is largely, hugely, entirely technology-driven. And therefore, it was a vindication of India having acquired supremacy in every sphere of scientific technology, including defense. And as Dr. Ajay was rightly pointing out, that we have to be more and more indigenous, because we can't be getting away from the geopolitical constraints. And of course, every country will first watch her interest, depending on the situation and circumstances prevailing at that given point of time. And therefore, I think it's also opportunity to recall that soon after this government came in 2014, Prime Minister Modi gave us the concept of Atmanirbhar Bharat. And that concept has stood the test of time more than evidently in the last 4 days. Whatever you saw happening on the television screens was more or less indigenous, was a creation of Atmanirbhar Bharat, and also a creation of what the Viksit Bharat is going to be. And I think for the first time, the world has realized, as was being also mentioned by one of the former ministers of Pakistan, India today is not the India of yesterday. And I'm glad and proud that this kind of reaffirmation or reassertion for Mother India has come through the tools of science, technology, with which, incidentally, we happen to be associated at this point in time. And I also compliment the team, TDB, Mr. Biotech, for having over the years been instrumental in supporting some very important, innovative, creative ventures. When Dr. Ajay was referring to drones, it suddenly occurred to me that one of the first major drone projects was funded by the Technology Development Board. That 1,000 drone visual which you saw during beating the retreat on one of the Republic Day celebrations was actually funded by Technology Development Board. That day you celebrated the fascination and the romanticism of it, the manner in which colored the skies. But what actually the drones can do, you have witnessed over the last 4 days. So it's a providential coincidence that we celebrate the Technology Development Day at a time when we are actually celebrating some of the successes that are emanated from Technology Development Board and as a whole from the Ministry of Science and Technology. I must also compliment the team TDP for having institutionalized the practice of coining one theme every year for this day. And the theme that they have very thoughtfully, though indulging in some smart jugglery, have coined is Yantra, as the lady anchor was mentioning. So it took me some time to understand what it was, but I appreciate the intellectual jugglery that has gone behind it. Because there's a very narrow demarcation between intellectualism and smartism. And Oscar Wilde once said that those who, in their bid to become intellectuals, fail to become so, they at least become wicked. I'm glad Pathak has not become so. But I appreciate the smart intellectualism. And Yantra is in fact carrying more than one connotations, particularly at a time when we are going through some of the not very calm moments today, considering the situation that the region is going through. So Yantra stands for Yugantar, for advancing new technology, research and acceleration. So when he was explaining that to me, I was trying to understand and trying to explain to myself how I would explain to them. Because whatever he has done, I have to take the responsibility. Like they say, a chancellor should own the vices of the vice chancellor. So, since he is working with one of our wings, but then I thought, yes, you could actually justify it. Because Yugantra, of course, Yugantar is transforming Yug. Indeed, this is a transforming century, transforming India. And I'm trying to do what Pathak would not have done. And this transformation is being driven by advancing new technology, of course, again, true. And this transformation is also being driven by research, again, true. And this transformation is being driven with acceleration, with speed and pace, which Dr. Ajay was trying to emphasize. So I think we have every reason to appreciate this acronym. Though in our haste, sometimes we coin the acronym first and then try to coin the name out of that. But I'm glad that we have successfully managed to do whichever way started, whether the acronym first or the other first. And if you look for reasons for this celebration, I think this is what we have been, or what have been talking about in the last few moments, about the kind of celebration that has happened across the country. I think this is a cumulative outcome of the last 10, 11 years. The manner in which Prime Minister Modi actually gave an impetus. As I said, he gave us the concept of Atmanirbhar Bharat. He gave us the concept of modernizing our technologies, living up to global benchmarks, following global strategies. Most of the equipment that you saw being used in the last 4 days, even in our defense sector, was actually acquired in the last 10 years. It's something which is not very often emphasized even by the media. And if you go into the details of all those, because I don't wish to talk out of turn or more than what I should be talking, but you go into the detail of each of the defense equipment which has come into use in the last 3-4 years, it was developed, it was acquired, or TOT done only in the last few years, and definitely after 2014. Because you need to have the political will and the political leadership, the political policy to move in that direction. There is no dearth of scientific acumen, but the direction has to be determined by the political dispensation of the day. And if this government has moved in a particular direction in the last 11 years, I think the vindication of that stands today. In fact, the other day I was reading a piece by Dr. Ramarao, the person behind Akash, this S-400, whatever you say. And I was really delighted when he said that the manner in which these equipments have functioned were much, much more beyond his own expectation when he was leading the team that was developing it. And therefore, over the last 10 years, as was being mentioned by speaker after speaker, we went up from 350 startups to 1.75. Our global innovation index, as was being mentioned by Rajesh also, from 39 to 81. Our patents are 64,480, but what is more important is that almost 56% of these patents are Indian residents. Earlier, the refrain would be, Khurana goes outside to achieve something. Nothing can happen here. Now this 56% born here, brought up here, groomed here, and made a success story over here. And then you take any of the streams associated with this ministry. Rajesh counted to you the nifithromycin, the gene therapy, which is first of its kind, in fact, published by the New England Journal of Medicine, which is 200-year old, I think one of the oldest journals in the world, besides the British Medical Journal, which is dedicated to the research in medicine. If they picked up this gene therapy, that means that it has been validated by all the possible benchmarks. And of course, vaccine is a story which gave this department all the visibility that it enjoys across the world. Similarly, space, I don't have to reiterate because it becomes quite a favorite subject even in the media. And I find sometimes the media anchors also talking about space, sounding like, or at least trying to sound like space scientists. And the other day when I was talking to some of the media friends, I said in a lighter vein, I said, we don't mind that because space actually has given us space in media also. Earlier on, nobody covered scientific works in mainstream media. Thanks to Chandrayaan, thanks to this Aditya, thanks to the stories of Gaganyaan, which is yet to happen, media has started finding us interesting to be covered. Similarly, quantum, you have Dr. Ajay there, others, again, we are among the first. And I was just now, when we were holding the ceremony of calls, it was very impressive, Dr. Ajay telling me that they are supporting as many as 75 universities across the country, and not only supporting them technologically, knowledge-wise, financially, also supporting them to acquire land to set up their establishment. So I think this is a huge, huge support coming from a government sector. Normally it doesn't happen that way. And of course, there is still a scope for the private sector engagement as well. Our AI mission, our deep sea mission or deep ocean mission, though the Earth Sciences Secretary is not there because we are still trying to get over the compartments. I hope next time Pathak would also invite other science secretaries as well. But he was not there. So because this is an occasion which gives you an opportunity to own all of them. And of course, the National Green Mission, for which the government has already earmarked rupees 19,744 crore. And since defense makes news these days, at least yesterday and today, our defense sector exports have increased from rupees 2,000 crore to more than 16,000 crore again in the Modi regime, that is 8 times. And you saw the result of this in the last 4 days. You don't have to wait for our defense equipments to arrive. And as was being rightly mentioned, there may be constraints in actually getting that from other sources. So we have our own, in a way, we are now providing to others. And when the other manufacturing countries look for market over here, we are now actually qualifying or graduating to a level where we would be looking for market outside, and we would have buyers from outside. And our indigenous, whether it's BrahMos is indigenous, Tejas is indigenous, all this has happened in the last 1 decade or so. Not only that, for the nuclear mission, we have earmarked 20,000 crore, which is not only going to be a warfare project, in fact, for the clean energy. And the other day I was saying it's going to be a true indication of what Homi Bhabha said when he was criticized for launching this atomic energy program, that India was up to some mischief. And he said, no, our nuclear program is totally dedicated to peaceful purposes. So we are also now setting an example before the world that the tools of warfare can be equally useful in peace times for the benefit of mankind. The National Geospatial Policy, we are among the better ones, which again came handy in the last 3-4 days. The semiconductor mission, and of course, as was being mentioned by Dr. Ajay also, the Anusandhan National Research Foundation, which is actually still evolving. Our GERD has gone up from 60,196 crore to 1,27,281 crore, more than double. This is something which was also mentioned by Honorable Prime Minister on that innovation conclave. And if you see our budget, each of the science stream budgets has been increased by more than 100% over the last 10 years. If you see the DST strictly, it is an increase of 926%. Sounds fascination. Because it is 2,777 crore has gone up to 28,509 crore. If you see the DBT budget from 1,485,000 crore, it has gone up to 3,447 crore, which means more than 130%. I'm only referring to the secretary sitting over here. But otherwise, of course, if you also talk of the earth sciences, it's gone to 1,281 crore to 3,658 crore. And space, of course, from 5,615 crore to 13,416 crore. But mind you, this is not about all. This is what the Modi government is contributing from the state treasury. But before 2014, this was about all. This was the beginning and the end of it. So on the one hand, the state treasury has contributed and started contributing more than 100%. At the same time, it has also opened the doors for you to make collections from other sources. The private sector has been opened up. The National Research Foundation has been opened up. The collaborations has been given a free hand. The FDI has been given a free hand. So your pool has been. So it's just like I am contributing to you from the government fund and then also allowing you to use other sources, which was not happening. The government funding was meager and there was no room or no permissions for private participation. Now we have also opened up the nuclear sector. And then to facilitate, we have One Nation, One Portal. And I think from the point of view, because I, as an academician, I think it gave me a particular delight when that one nation, one subscription decision was taken. Because we have gone through times, both as students, as teachers, when we didn't receive the journals that we wanted. In those days, most of the transport happened by shipping. So we would receive a European journal or a British journal, because earlier on the entire science was with Britain. Then, of course, by 80s, they started shifting to America. The journal would arrive 1 month later. So in the month of, say, May, I would receive the journal of March. And sometimes you had actually to guide students who were doing the thesis under you. It was a huge constraint. It would not be easy to. So this has come as a great, great relief. Only those who are associated with the business of teaching and learning would understand. Now you have access through information technology, and by making it one subscription, you make it easy for the institutions. So many of the institutions could not subscribe to all the journals because they had their own limitations in budget. So you had to decide. And sometimes I've also come across, because I was visiting most of the institutions across the country, at least in medicine, some of the institutions would, take turns. For example, this year from Britain you have this journal. Next year from UK you have the other journal, which was not actually very doing justice to the students. So such a whole lot, and all these decisions have been taken very thoughtfully and been possible because we had a government which was supporting. And therefore, without taking long, because as a chief guest, you're not supposed to talk like a faculty, which I was doing before 2014. So I have to wind up. But I think as we move on, we look forward to the ascent of India to the pedestal of 2014. And the National Technology Day today, though it is referred to as National Technology Day, but I think it truly, truly heralds the international, though being National Technology Day, it heralds the international recognition of India 2047. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for enlightening us with your words of wisdom and for sharing those wonderful perspectives, views, ideas with all of us. Thank you for joining us here today, and we must say that your presence is truly motivating for all of us. Thank you once again. Ladies and gentlemen, for proposing the final vote of thanks, may I please invite Shri Rajesh Jain, Director TDB, to kindly please do so, sir.
Namaskar. Honorable Chief Guest, Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, Guest of Honor, Padma Bhushan, Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, Co-founder HCL and Chairman, Mission Governing Board and QM, Professor Abhay Karandikar, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology and Chairman, TDB, Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, and all other respected dignitaries, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I consider this as a great privilege to propose a vote of thanks to all the eminent dignitaries and colleagues, those who have made it convenient to attend Technology Day 2025. I take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to Honorable Minister of State, Ministry of Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, for gracing this occasion as the chief guest. We continue to look forward for your guidance and support. We also thank eminent speakers, Shri Vikram Gupta, founder and MD of 5E Cap Ventures, Shri Sajid Bhai, partner Bloom Ventures, Dr. Jitendra Kumar, MD Biotech, Shri Abhishek Gulati, Trade Commissioner, High Commission of Canada, Ms. Patricia Sanchez, Representative, Center of Technology Development and Innovation, Embassy of Spain, and Ms. Jeannie George, Senior Advisor, Office of Science and Innovation, Embassy of Sweden. We also convey our sincere thanks to all the exhibitors representing a section of India's scientific progress. Last but not the least, I take this opportunity to thank my colleagues at TDB, those who have worked with great dedication to make this program a great success. I also request all the attendees to visit the exhibition displayed there and do the networking. And before that, everyone to join us for lunch. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we officially conclude the celebrations of the 27th. सभी बैठे रहें प्लीज, सभी से रिक्वेस्ट है कृपया आप ऑडियंस में सभी प्लीज बैठे रहें. We officially conclude the celebrations of 27th National Technology Day 2025 with an aim to strategically align with the vision shared by the august speakers today. So see you all next year at 28th National Technology Day. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll first request our dignitaries on the dais to kindly proceed to the VIP dining hall on the first floor. For 1 minute, may we please request everyone to kindly remain seated so that first our dignitaries can exit and then all of us can exit together. And once again, to request everyone that there is a blood camp organized in the foyer area outside for all our attendees who would like to donate blood. May we request you to kindly do so. It is a very, very noble cause, as all of us know. अभी प्लीज बैठे रहिए. Kindly please wait for a few minutes, please.